everyone, my name is Navi. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I honestly really wanted to take a few minutes to talk about this amazing Japanese drama that I just finished watching. This is my second Japanese drama that I've watched. The first one I watched was An Incurable Case of Love. I know it's a heavy title, but it's actually really good and really funny. But this is the second one, and it is my Full-Time Wife Escapist. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. And honestly, it is so good. I was so impressed by how good it was because of it just seems like one of those goofy dramas that you wouldn't really expect to be really good, but I was so impressed by it. I had just finished watching a lot of heavy like K-dramas that I was like, I need something that's low key. I need something that's like, I need to take my mind off all of the heavy stuff that's happening in politics and like just everything else in general. So the drama is about Mikuri, who is this 26-year-old who is having a hellish time trying to find a job, aren't we all? And she ends up her father recommends her to one of her colleagues that he worked with prior as a housekeeper just for the time being because he's like, well, you need a job. He needs a housekeeper. Maybe you can help him out. So she goes there. She works there for a little bit as he's sick. So she takes care of him. And then in this wild suggestion, she's like, hey, why don't we try doing a contract marriage? You know, you'll get what you want. Which is like a wife that will help you take care of your home and all of that, which you hate doing. And I will get a job that I like, but these are the things that I enjoy. This is the first time I've actually been told that I'm really good at something. So, and she's a really good person, you can tell, but she just is tired of the game of trying to find a job. And so she even got to a point where she was a temp, but they ended up choosing somebody else instead of her, and she was a little bit heartbroken by it. So she was just really upset. So she gets this wild idea, and there's this guy who's like, all I can think is in my mind is the accountant, like the movie accountant, the accountant himself. But honestly, I like Hiramasa, that's his name, a lot better than the accountant. And I like the accountant. Hiramasa is like very down to earth, very like analytical. He's a software engineer, I believe. Definitely like just on the low key for the most part and doesn't really like drama, doesn't do any drama. And somehow it actually ends up being a really cool match between the two of them because, you know, opposites attract. But if you haven't given it a shot, I'd definitely give it a shot because it's really cool. But let's go into more of details. Some of the things that I really enjoyed about this drama, but one of the main things I really, really liked was the female character. She is amazing. If you've watched any of my other videos and seen some of my reviews that I do on the K-dramas, you'll know that sometimes the female leads make it or break it for me. And Mikuri, is definitely one that made it for me. She is just so down to earth, so sweet, willing to mostly do anything for the people she loves. But at the same time, she stands up for what is correct and what is right for her. She stands up for herself, which I absolutely love. And I think she tries in the most positive kind of way to bring out the best in Hiramasa, but at the same time also retaining her own dignity. So I really love that. On the other hand is Hiramasa. He is, initially, I'll be honest, initially I wasn't a huge fan. The first, like, it took me a few episodes to get to like him. But as you start to see how much he actually values Mikuri and tries to help her, even without thinking that he'll get something in return, or even other people in general. He tries to help her parents whenever he can. He tries to help like his coworkers wherever he can. He's a very reliable person, but at the same time, he's very hands off and doesn't really like to be involved in a lot of things. But at the same time, he feels very lonely. He's never had any relationship and he is a virgin. He is 36 years old, I believe. He's 10 years older than Mikuri. So he's 36 years old. He hasn't really experienced a lot of life outside of professional development in that way. So Mikuri is the one that kind of brings him out of his shell and is the one that encourages him to look at life in a little more lighter way than he does. And then he, on the other hand, brings more seriousness into Mikuri's life. Not that she needs seriousness, but it's more grounding. He grounds her. I think that's kind of like the best way to put it. And then on the other hand, and I'll be honest with you, this is one of my favorite parts about this show. It's not just about them, like Mikuri and Hiramasa, which is really good, and they do a really good job with their chemistry and everything else. It's also the other people, the second kind of couple that is Mikuri's aunt, Yuri, and hold on, I want to get his name right. Kazami? Yuri is 50-ish years old almost, I believe. And she's been, again, similar to a female in the way Hiramasa is, where she's very much involved in a career. She's never really had a long-term relationship. If she had, it's never developed into anything else. She's never been married, anything like that. So she's kind of a little melancholy, but for the most part, kind of resigned to her fate, but also very not, it doesn't overshadow her life for the most part. And she doesn't make it her life all about that, but it is part of something that she's very unhappy about. And then Kazumi, him. He initially is actually the one that finds out about Mikuri and Hiramasa being a contract marriage, and then he's like, hey, do you mind if she helps me out too? So she kind of becomes the housekeeper for Kazumi as well. And he starts to develop a little bit of feelings for her. She turns him down. It's a very small crush. And then as time goes on, he gets to know Yuri, and they actually have a lot of chemistry. He really likes Yuri and is in love with her. And Yuri's just like, I just see you as a nephew, or like a kid, basically. You're kind of like Mikuri in a way. And he's like, no. Kazima has never really been in a very serious relationship. He's never wanted to get married. It wasn't until he met Yuri. I think he's the same age as Hiramasa, who is about 36 as well. So they're both 36, 37-ish. There's like a 13-year difference between Kazime and Yuri. I honestly really loved all of the four characters. I thought that they were pretty darn awesome. And then there's another person who brings in a lot of comedic relief in throughout this TV series, and I forget his name. I think his name is. He definitely brings in a lot of comedic element to it. So all of these people combined themselves are really good, and then bringing in that comedic timing is also really awesome. So overall, I think this is a really good show. If you are looking for something that's low key, doesn't really have that much emotions, it's all about like enjoying your life. It's the small things, slice of life kind of situations. It's not that dramatic. It's just about interpersonal relationships and trying to learn about yourself and trying to better yourself, just like we all are. It really was super awesome to me, and I really enjoyed it. I actually identified with both of the main characters. I identified with Mikuri because it is hard to get a job in general. And especially when you're first getting out of college, and it's very difficult to find a job that you like and have the company trust you. And then, as you're trying to switch jobs, that's also very difficult. She's also very carefree, and she just wants to enjoy her life, which I identified with as well. And then on the other hand, Hiramasa, who is very diligent about his work. He does the same thing. He enjoys it, very analytical. I really enjoyed that aspect of where he, even though he's very shy and very straight narrowed on what he wants, he still is able to get out of his comfort zone. And I identified with that in that way. It's how difficult and scary it is to get out of your comfort zone. Case in point, it is very difficult to do this video majority of the time, but I still do it, hoping that I will find people that will enjoy this advice or be able to talk to me about all of these K-dramas, Japanese dramas that I watch. So if you are interested in things like that, please do consider subscribing and joining our Rainbow Club. That's a shameless pitch. Obviously, every drama has their drawbacks, and this has no exception. I think the only thing that I was a little bit of dislike that I had was how long it took for Hiramasa to kind of come to terms with his feelings and actually have the courage to tell her how much he liked her. Mikuri is usually the one that's like saying I like you, and you can tell she's just trying to get to know him, trying to get closer to him, trying to break those giant walls that he has. And Hiramasa, it takes him a very long time. So eventually when they do come together and do become some sort of couple, it ends very abruptly. I think there's only 11 episodes. I wish it was a slightly longer in that way, because the start and the middle is very like long and doesn't really progress until they start to become slight bit of couple, and then everything kind of is sped and you don't really know what ends up happening. On the other hand, what I did like is that they ended on a you don't really know what happens. They're together, and at the same time there's not much they'll tell you what happens. Like, do they end up having kids? Does Hiramasa become a stay-at-home husband while Mikuri ends up becoming this like really cool businesswoman almost? And it's really up to interpretation, and like there's multiple places and routes that this show can go. So in that way, if you're looking for something that's like steadfast and you like, no, I need an like an absolute, this is what ends up happening at the end, then you just, be a little bit cautious about that. But for the most part, it's a really good show. And I really like that it's up to the interpretation, that whatever you do, you can do. You can think of it in any way you want. On IMDb, this drama has, I believe, 7.8 out of 10. I think that's a good score, but personally, honestly, I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. I feel like it deserves that score, even though it doesn't have like those, super dramatic things that you see in a lot of Korean dramas. There's still a very much a slice of life kind of situation. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't, apart from how quickly it ended, in my opinion, there wasn't much left that I was very disappointed by. So honestly, 8.5 to me sounds really good. And then, oh, before I forget though, it was so popular, I believe, and so much in demand that they ended up doing like a extended video of it. It's like a season 2, but it's not really a season 2. It's just like a 2-hour long film that I plan on watching. But I wanted to make sure I did a video on just the season 1 aspect of it, because a lot of people don't really even want to watch the second one. Not because it's not good, but just because I feel like some people feel like it ended on a good note. I'll still watch it just to kind of see where my favorite couples are and what happens to them, but I think it's still worth the watch. So if you're looking for a drama that is very low-key, makes you laugh, but also a little cutesy, I'd go with this one. It's a little bit more mature than like a high school or college romance, but it's not to a point where it's that super high family drama as well. So it's a nice middle. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and like and subscribe to join our Rainbow Club. And I look forward to hearing from you. If you have watched this, please let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. I'd be super excited to hear what you think. Thank you so much. This is Navi. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.